One of the wildest takes I've heard this year. Oh my goodness. So we have Bryon Donalds, who is a representative in Florida. So essentially a black Klansman. All jokes aside, this clown put out a tweet and talking about interracial marriage. Now, he goes on to say, while he's on Fox News, he says that interracial marriage is cool unless you're a black Republican.
I'm in an interracial marriage. Interracial marriages are cool, to be frank, unless you're dealing with a black Republican.
What?
Because if you're a black Republican, then being in an interracial marriage ain't cool.
Yeah.
And that's just the facts of the matter. And I would dare any Democrat or any pundit to debate me on that. We got to get past this stuff. We can't be using race to weaponize our politics and to weaponize our media.
Now, there is so much to dissect here. I don't even think I have the time. But I will try my best to be concise. First and foremost, that's not true. Okay, it's just blatantly, it's an inane take for him to say that. Because we can name probably one of the most popular black women today. Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is in interracial marriage. She very much has gotten backlash over that. We can go into the second probably most popular, more powerful woman today, Ketanji Brown Jackson, okay, Supreme Court Justice. She's in an interracial marriage. She very much got flack for being in that interracial marriage. And when it comes to interracial marriages or spouses and stuff like that, I'll tackle that in a minute. But when it comes to black Republicans, the issue is not who they're attached with, because there are many black Republicans who have black spouses. The issue is that they are essentially a mouthpiece for white conservatives. That's the issue. So what they are essentially are just modern day Sambos. That's what it is. And we're looking at modern day minstrel shows, because what happens when they are, speaking for the Republican Party, which is, you have to take this into account, is majority white. It's majority white conservatives. And many of these people have a different relationship with this country. Many of them, unfortunately, are either anti-black racists by choice or just racially ignorant, in which they are then led and malleable for the white conservative elites to use them as they may. Hence the Fox News, hence the Newsmax, hence the OAN and whatnot. They tell them, they feed them what they need for, whether it's election, midterms, what they want them to be outraged about. They use them for their means, for their goals. Now, if you have to represent that group, well, what do you have to do? You have to know what they like and what they dislike. And given, as I said, that many of them are anti-black or racially ignorant, that prohibits you for advocating for your people. And unfortunately, that's where it leads when it comes to many black Republicans. You can't name me one black Republican that is prominent, that is proudly represented and taken in by the right, that does exactly what I said as far as advocates for black empowerment, advocates on behalf of black people, advocates and lets people know regarding many aspects of black history, whether it is reparations and addressing, many of the fragility in the Republican Party and the blatant ignorance, in addition to the racists out there, the anti-black racists. That doesn't take place. You want to know why? Because it's hard to fundraise off of that. It's hard to feed people the truth when every other network is feeding them lies. It's hard to give them, certain, I hate to say red pills, but certain red pills about history, whether it's reparations or, CRT, or whatever the outrage is that white conservatives have, and let them know, hey, that's not CRT. Or, hey, this is what reparations is. It's not, handouts. Or, hey, this is what, I don't know, whatever the issue is, immigration, whatever it is, right? That is problematic in being a black Republican. And that's what many black people see, is that they are essentially just a poster child for the white Republicans, and that they don't speak for black people, they speak to black people. And that's very night and day. Now, when it comes to the whole interracial marriage thing, that just compounds the problem. Because when you hear a black Republican or a black conservative saying anti-black narratives or promoting anti-black sentiments that are found within the Republican right for political clout and political gain. Because that's what they do. They do this not because, they necessarily believe it, but it's for political clout and for monetary gain. It's for influence. We can see case in present day would be Candace Owens, as I call her. She does what she does for political gain, for monetary gain, for clout, for influence. It has nothing to do with whether or not they, she or anyone else believes what they believe. They do and say what they need in order to get the attention, the media, the fundraising, the offerings. That's what they do. It's become a business. And that's what many people fail to understand, that politics is a business. I don't have to believe what I'm saying in order to be good at what I'm saying. It's essentially a salesman. Whoever's the best salesman, because that's what many of these people are on TV. That's what Tucker Carlson is. That's what, Sean Hannity is. That's what Laura Ingraham is. That's what Don Lemon was. That's what, all these individuals that you've seen come and go. They're nothing more than salesmen. They give you a script and they just read it, with maybe a little passionately, little side jokes here and there. That's all they do. Half of the time, they don't believe in what they're telling you. It's unfortunate, but that is the business of politics. So when you have someone who's being anti-black, who is regurgitating anti-black narratives, anti-black stereotypes, and then you see on top of that, they have a non-black spouse, it's a recipe for disaster. And many black people don't really care who you're with. They don't. The issue is when you speak out against, I don't know, if you're a black man with a white woman and you speak out against black women. The issue is if you're a black woman with a non-black man and you speak out against black men. That's the issue that many people have. And when it comes to interracial marriages, the issue is not, once again, interracial marriages. The issue is really a weak black man or a weak black woman. Because what you have to understand the dynamics, it's very nuanced when it comes to this. And I'll probably lose a lot of people, which they can't handle this. So that's the problem with many white Republicans. They can't handle nuanced takes because they want stuff like, it's either this or that. And that's not how the world works, okay? Especially when you start talking about racial dynamics in historical context. The issue is that when you have, a weak black spouse, is that they are usually assimilated into their spouse's culture, into their spouse's beliefs. So whether that is a, Hispanic, whether that's a white person, whether it's an Asian, that's what happens. So what then that leads to is a dilution of their identity. So instead of them being a black man or a black woman, they are now just an American. And you see this a lot with the Republicans. And more often than not, when you come to a lot of these Republicans, they are with a non-black spouse. And in many cases, that's a strategical optics. You have to understand, because if you want to win the votes and the security and the trust of a white dominant group, what better way to earn their trust is to say, hey, I am in marriage with one of your kind. I am in marriage with a white woman. I am in marriage with a white man. That is the best way to earn their trust. And then as you continue on, regurgitating their talking points, the stereotypes and whatnot and what they believe in, well, then that makes it easier to garner their votes, which then makes you influential in the business of politics. Because even if you lose your race, and with that, what you have to understand, many of these people go into these races not to win, but to gain influence, to get their name out there, because they know they can use that and monetize that. Going on Fox News, going on OAN, going to speaking engagements. That's what you have to understand. It's, it is what it is. I don't agree with it, but that's the business of this political game. So when you have these weak black spouses, they are nothing more than a proxy for whoever they are with. If they are with a white person and that white person happens to feel a certain way about, this topic or that topic, they will feel that, that empty black spouse with their beliefs, their cultures, their opinions, their stereotypes. And the weak black spouse will just, once again, be a proxy for that. They'll just repeat everything that their spouse says. Whether it's a Hispanic spouse, the same thing. They will adopt, Hispanic or Mexican culture. That's what will happen, and their identity will be gone. because they will no longer have an identity, because they will now be essentially, a doppelganger. They'll be a duplicate of whoever they're with. That's the issue that many people have. Now, when you have a strong black spouse, that's not how that works. When you have a strong black woman or a black man who may be in an interracial relationship, marriage, whatever it is, they will check their spouse very quickly. If their spouse says something that comes off as anti-black, their spouse says something that's racist, they will check them with the quickness. And that's because, once again, with them being a non-black spouse, they have a different relationship in this country. They have a different understanding of how this country works. That is very night and day for when you have a black spouse. A strong black spouse understands the historical significance of us being in this country. They understand as far as the actual American history. It's that understanding that comes with a strong black spouse and a way to communicate that to someone else. Where it's a weak black spouse, in many cases, when it comes to these Republicans, many of the Democrats as well, there is a kowtow manner about them, where they're almost ashamed to be who they are, because they feel a certain shame being a part of the group that they're a part of, being a part of black people. You get this, whether it's Kamala Harris, whether it's Bryon Donalds, whether it's someone like Kunduz Owens and whatnot. There's a disdain that they have for themselves, a certain self-hatred, a self-loathing, and because of that self-loathing, they try and distance themselves from the group. They try and say, "Hey, I'm not one of them, right? I'm one of the good ones." And there's a great book that goes over this complex that many black people suffer from them. I believe it's Exceptional Negro. It's a great book. I suggest you check it out. But that's a problem that many of them suffer from. And if you're a proud or a strong black man or black woman, you can spot it in an instant. So long story short, the issue really isn't as far as who your spouse is. The issue is what comes out of your mouth. And we can see this, whether it's Kamala Harris talking about reparations, talking about, I'm not going to do just something just for black people, right? Whether it's Ketanji Brown Jackson and her case regarding ruling against black workers, is that many of these spouses, many of these weak black spouses tend to assimilate. They tend to forego their identity as a black American in this country. And some of them are even black Americans, right? Which even amplifies the issue and the detachment from the group in this country. Because now you coming from Africa, now you really have no attachment to black Americans or black American culture, and you take in what is seen on the TV as black culture. You take, how they're presented, or in some cases, the lowest of low presentation of black Americans, and you see that as a representation of the whole. So there's a lot of propaganda out there, a lot of anti-black propaganda, which is, goes hand in hand with this country like apple pie. So you have to have a certain understanding of who you are, and that comes with knowledge. And that knowledge is not present in many black Republicans. It's not. What it is that they use or they weaponize their history or their who they are. It's like, hey, I'm black only when it benefits white conservatives, only when it benefits Republicans. That's what happens. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think. Whether or not you believe Lucas, he's absolutely correct, okay? It's only the black Republicans that get all the flack, okay? It's only the black Republicans. Or if you believe, the only reason you would say that is either A, you're intellectually vapid, or B, you're intellectually, just a hypocrite. It's as simple as that. Or you're in an echo chamber, in which case you're just ignorant. Nevertheless, you're more than welcome to disagree. And if you do, well, you're in luck because today is Disagreement Day. Disagreement Days are typically held Friday through Sunday. There'll be a number on screen. You can call in, we duke it out. Either or, hope you guys enjoy the video. If you did, please feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, guys, be amazing. It's Exceptional Negro. It's a great book. I suggest you check it out.